monologuing as well.
There should be a balance between the length of time people take when they're discussing something, and then the amount of. I mean, there just is a natural balance between that. The time people take to say something and the time or the amount of interruptions that they're going to get. But in a perfect world, nobody would be interrupting, and people would be allowed to finish what they're saying, and that would happen as long as people made their point short.
Well,
Because the only way a structured debate like you guys want would work is if we had a model. That's the only way that could work.
no, you don't have.
Is it us that's saying we want it?
Very low, Jem.
People said that yesterday.
What's going on? Very quiet.
It's better now.
Quiet for me. You're loud, Brenda. I mean, I can hear you, Jem, but you're just quiet, you know?
There's nothing else I can do to it.
Go on, I can hear you.
I've turned you up a little bit.
And everyone said this yesterday, and I went to the mic check, and it was fine.
It sounds good.
Better now. I don't know what you.
Sounds fine to me.
But there aren't any of you capable of a reasoned conversation, though, are there? It's just the same. Every time I engage, it's the same. It's just people talking over you, people muting you, people kicking you, just, you know, people screaming at you so that you can't answer. It's the same every time.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why, like, Kosher has to recognize that structure. If that's what it is, how do you structure that into short bursts?
You people are completely and utterly unreasonable, and there isn't a man among you that's capable of being reasonable for an hour or two. Well, maybe yourself, Chemo. Maybe you would.
No, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I was listening last night with you and Right the Hand. Very difficult to get through.
Muted me 6 times and removed me 3 times.
Right.
You know, how is that part of a debate? You know, I didn't mute him. I didn't remove him at all.
Gotta go.
Well, you need a neutral moderator.
Where were you last night with Right to Hand? It was in the other server?
Ranties. I'm on Ranties. It's always the same now. It's just these conversations. You know, it wasn't heated at the start, but he just made it into lunacy.
They're not conversations.
And yeah, and you know, how is it a conversation when you're talking to someone and you have to keep removing them from the conversation so they can't respond? I mean, it's unbelievable.
That's why it's not a conversation.
It's beyond ridiculous, Chemo. And I get this everywhere I go.
He said he's got to go.
Oh, yeah, he did. And even when they can't get away with it, even when they can't get away with that sort of thing, they just do other ridiculous shit like we saw with Nathan Thompson. You know, just, you know, everything laced with mockery. Cool story, bro. You know, how is that a response to, you know, but if someone said that to me in a debate, in a proper formal debate, I'd be like, well, that's it. Well, there's no point in me continuing with this if that's the response I'm going to get. Cool story, bro. I mean, it's like 12-year-olds.
Well, it's conceding the point, your point. That's what he's doing. You got no argument to rebut it, therefore you have to concede to it.
The only way a structured debate, because I used to watch, like I say, the evolution creation debate. Right. So you got to have 2 sides, really. I've got to have 2 positions. So creation can show that the Earth is not millions of years old. Things like this, right?
Exactly, yeah. And that's the thing, again, that it's missed a lot of the time. They just say, oh, it's a flat Earth versus globe Earth debate. Well, in a formal debate, you have a proposition, don't you? And
yeah, you can get
in a proper debate. You say the House argues in favor of for the affirmative, and the opponent argues in the negative, something like that. And it's usually a single statement that you argue for and against, right? Like, you know, as you say, you know, God is the best explanation for the beginning of the universe, or something like that.
But I can tell you though, like,
Hey, Chemo.
why? What?
So, in saying that you don't have a model, are you admitting that you have no evidence that the Earth is flat?
Yeah, we have evidence the Earth is flat, but we can't model that evidence into a full picture.
Isn't flat a model, just like round is a model?
No, you have a heliocentric model. We don't have geocentric or another cosmology model that. So we know that what we're standing on does not curve, but we can't model the entire
How do you
cosmos.
know that?
They just assume it.
Well,
He
we know
understands what a model really is, Brenda,
No, he
because that
doesn't.
was such a malformed description of it. It was actually sickeningly sad. I hope he recorded that so he can go on his next show to show what an idiot he's currently being on this point.
Yeah, if you're saying that the Earth is flat, that's your model.
Oh, because we don't see it like that. No, that's it.
No,
That's the thing.
it's not something you get to see about differently. You have a model, which is that the Earth is flat. I can buy them. You can buy them at the conventions.
Right.
You can Google them. And
I think the
have
problem
a
is, though, is... Sorry.
No, you're right.
I think the problem is, though, is when you take that model and you actually compare it against reality, they know it doesn't fucking stack up. So that's the problem they have. That's why they want to avoid the claim, try and shift the burden of proof, because they know that they, apart from the colloquial, well, it looks flat, that's the best they got. You know, water doesn't find its level because we have tides everywhere. You know, and Chemo's answer to that was, it's the wind.
I never thought about that.
I think the next best step, because we haven't really seen like Christian flat earthers. So when we had the biblical or
Notice
the
how we just moved
evolutionary
straight on.
versus creation, so the creationists were not flat earthers. That's a problem. Creationists now are arguing for creation with a flat earth. Then it probably makes it a little bit easier.
Just to say that you can actually prove that wind causes tides, but you can't prove that gravity has anything to do with it.
Winds cause tides.
Wind causes waves. I meant to say waves. I clearly meant to say waves.
Except for when you post up something that says gravity also has an effect on waves, Jeremy.
No. It's not. How can if we know mass doesn't attract mass, and we know it's the bending of space? How can the moon pull anything?
So that's what he accidentally said. Because we accidentally said that we can show that wind shows tides. We said actually, I mean waves. But that's the whole point, Jeremy, is that winds can't show scheduled tides or cycle tides and all this kind of thing.
Yeah, you can't show it with. You can't show gravity causes it either. Show me Einstein's field equations causing tides.
Yeah, we can do that, man. And if you want, we can take the time to do that later. But we're in the middle of this conversation. But yeah, we can show gravity, show tides.
Of course,
that's the only way we can show it.
Can show that, Jeremy. You can.
Why would you think we can't?
You can show Jeremy Einstein's field equations, proving that gravity causes tides, and it doesn't matter what the fuck you wrote down. Jeremy wouldn't know the fucking difference. So that's easy evidence to get Jeremy, because he's asking for something he doesn't understand in the first place, not because he's being sincere, but because he's trying to be evasive.
Yeah,
no, you just have a massive problem with the current gravity, and you can't show it.
No, we just don't, Jeremy. We can show you this. I mean, if you understand the equations, we can show you how it works. We can show you simplified versions of them. You're just wrong. You're making these assertions that are plain wrong.
You can't use Einstein's. You can't use Einstein's equations with more than
Jeremy can't even speak.
You can't.
Why can't we hear Jeremy? 5 of yous, one of Jeremy.
Let him speak.
You can't use Einstein's field equations for more than one mass. So how are you going to use the moon and the Earth in this Einsteinian equation?
So you can use Newton's to do what Einstein would do anyway. In fact, if we were trying to show it to you, we'd use Newton's.
But
Is that
the
true?
multiple body problem.
Jeremy,
Is that true?
who
I
told
thought
you can't use
that
the field equations for more than one mass. Who told you that?
No, it's not true. Of course not.
that's not true. It's two masses, right?
You
can use
can
it
do
for
a
as
three
many
to simulate.
masses as you want.
Yeah, as many as you want. But instead of getting into that debate with him, it's irrelevant because the truth is I wouldn't even try to show him Einstein's field equations. It's too complicated.
Yeah,
But
I'm
we can do it,
curious to
man.
know where Jeremy learned that. Like, who's telling him this stuff?
Put timestamps in it for you, Jeremy. And but just we're gonna finish this conversation, but you can watch this while you're doing that. But you'll see how that works with Einstein's field equations, one mass and multiple masses.